The role of the arts in the North today is a really important one, I think. It's a way in which we can gauge and reckon with our past, a very conflicted and complex past, without really boiling it down to simple either-or questions and moral black and whites. So for example, I've seen recent productions around where I work which have dealt with mental health and its growth in Northern Ireland, which could be seen as a result of living in a post-conflict society, and definitely that's something that we're having to reckon with more and more.
Culture is very important here, and I think the way Northern Ireland is moving, it's becoming more cosmopolitan. You see a lot of young people, students coming from the Erasmus programme, you see people from Eastern Europe and from the Far East and so on coming here. It's becoming really an international place. You see that at the Continental Market and all the different events that we have on in Belfast. I think the aim has to be to spread that all over the North. We also need to be aware of our own cultures and still recognise them and have a mutual respect for them, have a mutual respect whether people celebrate the 12th of July or whether they celebrate Patrick's Day or whether they celebrate both.
Murals have been part of Belfast landscape for as long as I can remember, really. There are murals that will try to control communities and try to make them exclusive, put them into a box. But there's also important and increasing amounts of murals which are used for community expression, really, especially in more working class communities. There's also a danger of fetishizing those communities and taking tour buses down to look at the murals and look at people who've grown up in conflict zones as they were tourist attractions. And I think Belfast has to reckon with whether the focus is going to be on conflict or whether it's going to be on peace and empowerment of those living in areas with really complex history.
But at the same time, you still want to be open to the world as well, because this was a war zone for so long, and these places are still going through this process. So it's still important that the outside world are aware of these places, can see them, and can see the murals, can interact with the people, and can visit important places of commemoration too.
Carmila was set up in 1965 as a peace and reconciliation centre by a group of students from Queen's. They have a residential centre in Ballycastle, of which I was a part of for a year, and mainly they work with different groups of people from Northern Ireland, trying to promote dialogue and encounter, bring them into a neutral space to try and promote understandings with schools, with families, with youth groups and faith groups.
Conversations That Matter is a programme that brings young people from across the island of Ireland together to enact social change.